All right. So Latif Idris report setting the tone for our water conversation. The man that Roland sent out is joining us right here on the show.
Joseph,
I'm back.
what's up?
You're back. Yes, I'm back.
Did you go to any community where you saw community inhabitants drinking or sharing their water source with animals?
You know, when you go to places like the Southern Volta, you would find a number of them. Those are some of the areas that we actually went to. Specifically, we were on the River Volta. And, you know, the focus of this year's World Water Day celebration is something to do with water and jobs. So the kind of job opportunities that the water provides. So you know that the River Volta is, for example, the largest water body in our part of the country. But what we discovered was that in a number of the communities, they used to be fishing communities, but today we don't see them as fishing communities as a result of, you know, some of the water bodies going extinct. Sometimes areas where there used to be tributaries of the Volta River flowing through, we find situations where the places have become forest areas.
They've dried up.
They've more than dried up, if I could say so. Because mainly the concern is that
they've had some mangroves there.
You know, all kinds of bushes and all of that. The concern is that, you know, they used to undertake their fishing activities in some of these communities, but sometime in the 1960s, following the construction of the Akosombo Dam, the water wasn't flowing as rapidly as it was flowing, and as a result of that, it became stagnant. So the tributaries of the river, which used to be their water source for drinking, for cooking, and even for their fishing activities and washing and all of that, is no more. So now we have certain communities that used to be fishing communities, but they are landlocked now, taking away their livelihood. It's very worrying.
It always gets interesting when, well, we have to go to all those communities. You get to see that the people living in those communities have acute water shortage difficulties for which they've not been able to get over for years. Is it that they don't have local government authorities there, or is it that sometimes when they report they don't listen?
Usually it's a multifaceted kind of problem, because for example, if you have the water source, you know, vanishing as a result of the challenges that you face in the community, then it becomes a problem. Let's look, for example, at this community, Aklamado. It's a community in the central Tong area. We visited there, for example. The assembly member has been explaining to us, Godwin Oscar, how come the water body that they had there became extinct, and as a result of that, we're seeing a lot of the young people migrating because they're unable to undertake their fishing activities in the water body and all of that. So let's listen to Oscar. We'll come back and discuss the issues.
Sure, and you can be part of the show, because this whole water-themed program has you in mind. So you can send us a WhatsApp on 0560 800,000, or go to Facebook and then post your comment on Joy News on TV.
This is an island, this one.
So there are people there?
No. There people are not there.
But it's surrounded by the water?
It's surrounded by the water. So you can pass here and go and join the main river. And you can pass here and join the main river. But this highland,
actually, things were like this before we grew up to meet it. But according to our parents, when the Akosombo Dam was not constructed, it used to be a stream, a free-flowing stream, which gets its source or water from the main lake. And when it is overflowed, it flows back to the lake, making life conducive, for lack of a better word, which makes it very conducive in terms of fishing, farming, whereby they can even send their farm produce to Adajonshi and other areas to sell, and even fish to those areas to sell. But as it is now, due to the aquatic weeds, we cannot, as for fishing, is totally out. Farming to a large extent, it has affected us. So, as you see, when the river outflows its banks, it goes to the farming lands or to the farmlands, then revitalize or refertilizing the land for farming along the river. But for some time now, it has not been happening, so it has affected farming too in a way. One thing that we always forget is the mass exodus of our youth from these communities to the urban centers and other busy areas, because there is nothing they can do after their basic education. They usually go to look for greener pastures. So that is one of, so if you come through the communities, you see that it's made up of grown-ups or old ladies and old men.
And Joseph, it got interesting. So you went to those communities, you found that we could actually maximize on water to create a lot more jobs.
Exactly.
Hitherto, this was absent in many of the communities.
Exactly. In fact, when you look at the background, the assembly member that we spoke to, you saw the bushes, or more like the forest in the background. The reality is that 30, 40 years ago, that whole area was a water body. You know, one of the tributaries of the Volta Lake running through the community. And so then they used to do their fishing activities and all of that in it. But today, that is no more. The concern is bigger than that. It even has to do with issues about, on the Volta Lake largely, a lot of bushes are now growing all over, you know, portions of the Volta River. But also the main concern being that initially the water used to flow, now it's stagnant, and then the bushes are growing. The residents tell us that some time back, the Volta River Authority used to come around, get some chemicals, you know, spray the chemicals on the water body to help deal with the bushes, because the presence of the bushes affect them to a certain extent. It's affecting...
Are they bushes or are they weeds?
Well, but gradually they become bushes.
You know, they are...
But it also means that we need to be dredging.
Exactly.
And that was what the VRA was helping them to do.
Exactly, but the complaint is that a lot of that is not happening recently, and it's creating a problem. In fact, with beyond the dredging and getting the water body sprayed and, you know, killing the weeds using the chemicals and all of that, they've been concerned that the Environmental Protection Agency actually stopped the VRA from doing that because they wanted to undertake some research into the chemicals and all of that. I spoke to one of the fisher folks who discussed the difficulties with transportation and also fishing activities as a result of all these weeds and bushes growing up in the river.
Okay. So we would want to watch that.
This is affecting fishing business. You see, as you can see, you see that the fishes hide under the weeds, so they will not come out, and that has affected the fishing business.
Do you have an idea how come we have bushes growing in the middle of the river and all of that?
Yes, it's because of the Akosombo Dam. Yes, so once they close it, the current that flows with the river is no more flowing, so it allows the weeds to grow. Yes, and then sometimes the flood is not coming. If the flood comes, it covers the weeds and they die into the river. Yeah, since that is not happening, of course they will grow, and that is what is affecting us.
But is there anything that you think can be done about the numerous bushes in the water body?
Yes, the weeds, when they open the Akosombo Dam, so that the currents of it takes a lot of weeds away. That's what will happen. So before that can be corrected, unless they open the dam, if not all, maybe some windows, it will help clear a lot of the weeds along.
Are there any other challenges with getting transportation done over this river that you want to share with us?
Yeah, there are so many challenges. For example, where that small tributes that we pass before meeting or joining the main lake, you see that it's closing up. And sometimes we have to use manpower, cutlass, to trim the distance to create the path.
Also as a result of the bushes growing up?
Yes, growing up. They are coming together, but because it's our path, we don't want it to come together. It will affect our business. So well, as you see us at the riverside, we're doing some patch up just to create the way.
Yeah, you know, that's the official trailer for World Water Day. Mr. Samson Yahi will be very happy with us this morning.
Okay, so you say that for all the communities that you visited, a lot more needs to be done.
Yes.
But what about the issue of conservation also?
Well, that's also the other discussion, because then you would ask the community people that when this is happening and the weeds are growing in the river and the water bodies become next to, what do they do on their own? And then they tell you that, well, there isn't much that we can do. Sometimes, as the fishing guy was explaining, on their own, they get machete, get into the waters, try to clear the bushes, especially those in the areas which are paths that they make use of. and all of that, but then they are unable to do much on their own. Water and jobs, that's the focus.
All right, so water and jobs. We know that it's just around the theme for World Water Day today, and we're going to have the Deputy Minister for Water Resources working as Samson here in the studio.
He's also in charge of water.
It's an election year. We have to mention Member of Parliament.
Oh, how?
We don't have to, because otherwise his MPP, rival will be lurking somewhere around the corner to take away the seat.
Really?
Okay. And so we say, were you scared?
Water doesn't know politics.
Were you scared as well when you were wearing the vest?
I'm a waterman. I come from the water area, so if you understand.
Yeah, man. He's a fisherman.
I didn't know.
Although I can swim.
Okay, so I asked that a lot of you could also share your experiences and then the comments on what you're seeing with us on WhatsApp. Arab Prince D that says World Water Day. Wow, how I wish water can be pushed from one place to another, because some people really need them too, as much as we do. This one says, I'm really shocked because my small social studies I learned taught me that there are a lot of water bodies, yet there's shortage all the time. That's from Berfi in Ejira, asking what measures is the country putting in place for us to get uninterrupted water supply. This from Debbie. Debbie's in Kumasi, says, we have a mechanized borehole in the community which serves water most of the time. I've never seen it because I've never seen it being treated since my 3-year stay. How often should we treat it, and with what? Very important question that Debbie's asking, even as he's watching the show in the Ashanti region. Okay, Perpetua, I don't see what you're saying, but please keep the messages coming through on water. This one says, as we celebrate the World Water Day today, let's all protect and preserve our water bodies for sustainable life, because water is life. God bless your homeland, or our homeland, Ghana. That's from Kwame China inside Asante Bekwai. Well, Roland has been sending most of our colleagues out on World Water Day. So this is Benis Abo Beidu. She's also got a piece that she's sharing with us, and a lot of us can relate to this.
This is Jamestown, a city rich in culture and tradition, a place where many international tourists would visit before leaving the country. Unfortunately, there seems to be a prevailing problem of access to water here in Jamestown. I'm here to explore the situation. Access to water is one of the most basic needs of man. In Jamestown, there are those who have access to water directly from the Ghana Water Company Limited, GWCL, and others who buy from them. Robert Myers lives in this compound house. He is the only person who has a connected pipeline to the GWCL source. Some of his neighbors, both far and near, rely on water from his taps. He explains the process of cost sharing.
The cost is that when you fetch on you, then you pay. You don't wait until the month, at the end of the month before you pay. And when you fetch one bucket, formerly it was 20 pesos.
Okay, so this bucket?
Formerly it was 20 pesos.
Okay.
And then we're fetching it quite okay. But as the new bill came, we are selling 30 pesos, we are not making it.
No.
We are making it,
and
yeah.
The other ones,
this one, formerly we fetch it as 30 pesos, but it's now 40 pesos.
Okay, and then the gallon,
the gallon
called Kufuor gallon.
Really. Formerly we fetch it at 40 pesos, but we are now fetching 50 pesos, and we are still not making it.
Yeah, in the case of Rose van der Pooy, another resident of Jamestown, her 32-room compound house does not have any pipe-borne water. She sometimes relies on Robert's facilities for water. She tells me how she manages when there's no water flowing from Robert's tap.
I will buy this in pure water.
Oh,
yeah.
Pure water.
Yeah.
When was the last time you experienced such a thing?
About 2 months.
2 months ago, you had to buy sachet water, and that should really be expensive for you, isn't it?
One is 30 pesos, so we buy one full sachet.
Access to water goes beyond laying pipelines. Finances have now become one of the biggest barriers, especially to the urban poor in Accra.
It involves a lot of money. I mean, they'll come, they give you the estimates. You have to pay for the estimate before they will lay the facilities for you.
What goes?
You see, normally I need water about two cities normally to work on my family. So I don't have the capital to lay all that facilities, you see. So I will depend on somebody who have it, then I'll pay, and then I'll also get the service. Yes, it's normally.
So what happens in the case where you are not able to settle your bills and all the people who rely on you, what happens? How then do you have access to water?
We are complaining, and all that I need to do is to increase the sizes of what we are normally, we have to increase it. And we are all thinking it's too expensive, and there's a complaint and a whole lot of that. So it's a burden against everybody in the community. The bills are very expensive. From the new tariffs that came out, when you consume like 54 length, you pay something like 1.8. But currently we are paying about 3.7.
For the same 54 liters?
Yes. And we're told the increment was about 67.2. But from our own estimation, it's about 300. It's more than what we have been told. So now water is very scarce, and customers can afford to pay the bill.
Rose's co-tenant, Mercy Bafo, tells me their 32-room compound house had pipe-borne water, but due to financial constraints, their supply was cut.
My grandmother did it, but they don't pay. The tenants here doesn't pay. The monthly, this thing, we used to, they pay it in monthly basis, but they stop paying it. It's more than 30 years.
So how do you have access to water personally?
We used to buy it outside. We used to buy it, a bucket of water, 30 pesos. At times when they close the tap, we used to buy it 50 and 60 pesos. It's very difficult for us to have water in this house.
So why haven't you asked the Ghana Water Company to come and fix it so you can have some water?
All is about financial crisis. That's why we don't have enough money.
Solomon Tete, a worker with the Gamashi Development Agency, says there is an ongoing process to make access to water simple and easy for residents of Jamestown. This is how the Gamashi Development Agency plans to do it.
Currently, we are undertaking what we call the participatory slum upgrading project within the Gamashi community. As part of activities under the project, we've identified the water distribution in the community. We want to assist households, about 100 households who do not have the water connections at their households, so that they can also get benefits from the water service provider. Then we are also targeting some of the households who sell water to the community members to see how we can support them with storage facilities. Then also we want to demonstrate to the community people that whenever they have money that they want to connect water to their households, it's not difficult. All they need to do is go to the water company, apply for meters, they'll give them the estimate. Then when they can afford, they will come and connect it to their household. Some households think it's very abstract. They think to get water to your household is quite a difficult process, but it is not. Under the project, the participatory slum upgrading project, we did a socioeconomic survey, and what we realized that the households in this community, about 90% of them don't have household toilets, and they rely on public toilets. And these things is not very healthy for people living in such communities. So as part of our project, we are also providing 100 households with household toilets. And what has made the situation alarming is just not quite long, the AME banned the palm latrine processes that was highly used in this community. So all these households that used to rely on the palm latrines had now to go to the public toilets, and it is creating a mess out of the public toilets, because when you see the number of people visiting the facility at a go is quite alarming. So indeed, the AME is doing something about it. Other projects are also assisting, but I think we need to do more.